Welcome back to room 176 and the Tiger Talk news desk. I'm Nolan Bright and I'm here with the band director, Mr. Baker, and a 4-year senior, Garrett Olson. We're here to highlight the excellence in the band. So this year's marching band season went over pretty well. Can you just recap kind of what happened?
Yeah, we had a great show. It was based on Code of the Samurai. We tried to take the marching band show this year to the next level. We've had a great tradition of excellence in marching band and in concert band, of course. But personally, I was getting bored. To be honest with you, these kids work so hard each and every single day. They come in for a band camp in July. So we're working just like the football teams are and softball teams are working in order to go compete. And so I wanted to try to take the band to the next level this year. So I got a good show theme in Code of the Samurai. Thought about making some props and actually went to a camp this summer in Indiana. And I was able to talk to some of the very biggest people in the marching band circuit. And they gave a lot of great ideas and suggestions and said, why don't you try doing this and why don't you try doing that? So brought it home, talked to our band boosters, said, do you think we can do this? And our parents support us, the community supports us, and we were able to take our show to the next level, and I'm looking forward to even trying to take it to the next level next year as well. So,
you mentioned those props. How did you guys all get together? Was it a parent thing that you made those? Did you buy those?
When I came back from that meeting, that band directors meeting in Indiana, I got a parent group together immediately. So it was July, probably early July, and gave them the ideas that we had come up with, and said, "Do you think we can do this? And it's going to cost this much money." And we have a lot of parents that are very talented. Some of our parents have degrees in making things, for businesses. And so, like for instance, Tammy Kakmar, she was able to make all those lanterns, and I think her and Ed sculpted the foam with like big butter knife, electric knives and things. And we use the parents' strengths. Adam Ratley is the one that made the big Tory Gate. He is an engineer genius, and gave them the idea, and they came up with possible ways to build it, and we said go for it. And next thing you know, the parents came through like no other. So, yeah.
Let's hear it for your Macon Tiger Marching Band.
Speaking of support, how is it having a new assistant band director?
It's great. It's great having an assistant director of bands here again. Mr. Parks has come in. He's working half-time with choir and half-time with band. I know they need a lot of help up the choir department as well, especially a company. It's really hard to teach choir if you're by yourself and sitting behind a piano when you have 40 kids in front of you. So the school district was able to see that the need was there for them as well for us. For us, we can split the 5th grade into 2 different locations, and when you can split up those kids, you can get so much more done, and they progress a lot faster. And you can really pick out the nitpicky details and try to make them better.
Speaking of picking up the nitpicky details, how do you do that preparing for this spring concert that's coming up?
That's the stressful. We've done so well at contests for so long, and probably the most stressful part of being a director of bands here at Macon. We've got a 44-year streak going that we're going for here pretty soon. It's just a lot of repetition, and I tell the kids it's about being consistent. We can practice, we can do something great one time, but if they come back on a Monday morning after having a long weekend and they can't do it again, you're not consistent. So I really preach consistency, and they do a great job of using their ears. I tell them all the time that class is about using your ears, not your eyes or your fingers. It's about listening to those around you and feeding off of each other. It's just like being on a team. You're only good as your weakest link, and we try to bring everybody up and make sure that they work together.
How frustrating is it when you feel like you did something great that Friday and you come back Monday and he says, well, we messed up right here again. So
I definitely have a different opinion as a senior versus I did a freshman. My freshman year, my parts were easier than they were this year. And I was thinking, okay, yeah, again, whatever. And, definitely this year, as a senior, I'm feeling a little bit of the stress, can't imagine. what you feel every year, but I'm feeling a little bit of stress of like, the the streak in the 40 years, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we need to go back and do that again, and that was totally obvious. I don't know how you didn't hear it, or like, yeah, I'm like, come on. I was like, yeah, come on, get it, but it's just totally that, and just, with the repetition, that's what makes it. So.
Yeah, I do want to say I don't preach that 40-year streak in class.
Yeah.
These kids just know. We've got such a great community for band support. It goes all the way back to Mr. Sandbothy and Mr. Bennett's days. We have parents that were in the band program. I know Garrett's parents, and they all understand the importance. I tell my kids when I'm recruiting in 4th grade, I said, band's not that nerdy of a thing at Macon. It might be at some schools because the kids here know that we go out and compete and we want to do well, and we're successful. And when you're successful, you have something to be proud of. And when a school and a community can be proud of something, I don't think you have those negative stereotypes. So that's one reason I think it really helps maintain that quality that we've had.
How do you kind of project that to the incoming freshmen? I know oftentimes there's an 8th grade drop from 8th grade band to freshman.
Mm-hmm.
How do you appreciate them? It is a lot of time, but it's worth it. And do you bring in seniors? Do you speak to them? How do you go about that?
You're right. The 8th grade to 9th grade years, when we lose more kids, and we haven't the last couple of years, kids just feel like they see the band at Friday nights and they think, I can't do that. I'm not good enough. And no matter how many times I, as the teacher, can say, hey, you can do this. It's baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. But until somebody like Garrett comes in and talks to the kids and say, really, it's not that bad. And the time commitment isn't anything more than what football is for you. So you do have to be dedicated. But we have a quality product in the end that I think everybody really buys into.
I definitely see some of the respect from the student body. He's mentioning band is a nerdy here. When I have talked to other kids from other schools or talked to those kids here when they go to a away basketball game or away football game, they're like, wow, I appreciate you guys because I was embarrassed for them, or I love hearing you guys because you guys sound great. You guys are always great, and it's just nice being appreciated and respected because there's always a stereotype that that's a band nerd or whatever. But I've had multiple accounts from kids in my grade and younger just respecting the band.
So from a athletic standpoint, it's great being out, whether it's football or basketball. It's a complete different game when the band's there and the band's not there. There was basketball, it's like the Macon tournament night or whatever. You guys don't come in on Saturdays, which I understand completely, but it's such a different atmosphere when the band's not there playing the fight song when you run out, or it's at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I remember it 'cause that's when I'm getting ready. But it really changes how the athletes approach the game when the band is there, when the band is not there. And when we go to other places, it's simple things like the national anthem that people take for granted when they come to our home games. And I just from an athletic standpoint, I would like to thank the two of you. You guys put a lot of time into Pep Band. I know that, whether it's moving the stuff in there and practicing, or because the drum stuff has to get up in that thing, it's a huge difference.
Well, I appreciate that, and I remember seeing your interview, earlier in the year where you thanked us, and I appreciated that so much. I grew up in Monroe City. I was 130 pounds, 6 foot tall, and my best friends were the athletes, and at that point in time, I was very athletic, but I just couldn't, I couldn't put a stick on like you guys can. But, even growing up, my friends were the athletes, and I got along with everybody. I played sports all the way through junior high and high school, always messing around with those guys. They respected me because I was talented. And I think I've always had a love for sports that, I try to stay busy here at school, keeping book and, keeping clock for football games because, number one, I love sports. And I think band and sports, it's all so team-oriented. And there's so many things that you learn from being on a team. It's not about us playing music. It's about us getting together and coming up with a common goal. Whether it's to win at a marching band competition or won a contest or just play the best we can. It's really not about the awards for me, to be honest with you. At the end, I just want these kids performing at the highest. And in music, when you do something right, sometimes you get that chill just up the back of your leg and just like, you nailed it. That's what I look for, is the emotional content out of the music. So I do appreciate those words.
I definitely see the family aspect in band. You talked about when you do something right, you're all excited and everything. And an awesome thing I think about band is just that diversity that's inside band. It's 60 to 70 people every year, and just how many, different clubs everybody's in. You have one person in every club that's in band, in every sport that's in band. Everyone from everything, there's going to be one of them in band, and they're all working together for one goal. And, that's hard on time constraints and scheduling practices, which we all are aware of. But it's just cool to see the diversity and how, all come together from all different walks and all different clubs and come together for the common goal.
Yeah, absolutely, Garrett. We are a 3A school. We're not a large 5A school, in the city where kids have the opportunity to say, I'm only going to be a basketball player and that's all I'm doing this year. We live in a size community where we all have to share, and I think as a band director I do a great job of sharing with everybody and being flexible. We all have to do that in order to make all of our clubs and programs and teams do what they need to do. And I tell you what, we've got a great staff, great coaches. Everybody I think understands that concept, and that's why you guys can do everything that you do in school.
And we appreciate all the, as I know scheduling has to be awful, especially during marching band season, because you try and schedule around the softball and the football, and try and get the band time in. The football does the same there, and the softball, and they all have to get together and talk about it. And I'm sure it's a scheduling nightmare.
It's all about in like a 100-yard radius. Also.
Yeah, it's all right there.
Yeah.
And so, was it last year that you guys went to Jefferson City?
It was 2014, May of 2014.
So just a few years ago.
Yep.
And so, why did you guys go? What did they present to you?
Tim Remley wanted to do something for the band and show us, kind of like you're doing with this interview, just kind of show the success that we've had as a program. And he wanted to present us to the floor, and you can go ahead and show it. This is something that's back from Mr. Bennett's time. I believe there's Mr. Edwards. My name's on that. It's definitely a team effort of band directors. That's not mine. That's something that's happened for 43 years, going on 44, I hope. And so it's just a way to be recognized for such a consistent program.
This is a great thing. There's a lot of people who went through this program to earn this.
Absolutely.
Thing, so
Yeah.
it's great to be able to be on the floor.
Yeah, I knew it was either my end of my freshman or sophomore year we got to go. That was such a cool experience for me, and some people think, oh, it's just a state capitol, but they were doing real work. It was during actual house time, and you could tell the people who were getting us in on the floor, they were on a time constraint, and it was something that we feel honored to be there to be about, because they're doing serious work that need to be done. And we even had the opportunity to go sit in the balcony and actually watch bills get debated and everything like that. So it's really cool, and you could just really feel just the honor they had for us, and just the whole event as a whole was amazing.
Even when we were escorted out, when things got a little dicey.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.